Dorothy could have solved all her problems by thinking the thought, "There's no place like home," and tapping her heels together. What could be simpler? No education's required. Anyone can do it. And getting back to talking about healing, what's happening when Dr. Lisle does the healing process is that the thought of radiant, vital, dynamic health is being sent out into the universe, into universal mind. The thought is transmitted mentally from Dr. Lisle to his subject. The subject receives that thought consciously or unconsciously, and eventually the subject actually feels better after having received those thoughts of radiant, vital, dynamic health. Interestingly enough, computers have always been a passion of mine, and I've been trying to understand the role of servers in various computer networks. Generally, in an office, there may be several services performing various functions. And in one way or another, all the PCs in the office get connected to the various servers. At home, it used to be that we had one computer, which was connected to a modem and maybe a printer, and that was the extent of our system. But now, home networks are getting larger, more expansive, and more complicated. Now we can set up our network so that every computer in one's home can print to one printer instead of each person having their own printer. I can look at pictures on a PC even if I'm not in the same room as that PC, because my laptop can access my desktop or someone else's desktop in the same network. The point is that our systems are growing. Most of us not only have a desktop computer, but also a laptop, as well as tablet PCs and phones and other devices which are all connected to our home network. And it's getting to the point that we're all going to end up needing a home server at some point to keep track of everything and keep everything connected. The purpose of this lesson this morning is to realize that yes, our technological future continues to grow, expand, and provide new opportunities and innovations which we're only beginning to understand and appreciate. At the same time, realize that God has his own incredible network of servers and communication services, which we've only begun to understand and tap into. Remember that Jesus told us and admonished us that these things and greater shall you do. I continue to remind you and ask you if you're taking these words to heart as we go through our daily lives each week. Are you doing these and greater things? Is your computer network up to date? Are you taking advantage of all the technology available at your fingertips? Are you taking advantage of all the metaphysical tools which are available at your disposal, or do you have them put away in a drawer or a cabinet, saving them for a rainy day? I had a meeting last week with a professional. I was not happy with this person, and I dreaded having to go to this meeting. In preparation for the meeting, I pondered how the meeting would go. I thought about writing a letter of all my grievances out in advance and sending it to this individual prior to the meeting so that he could respond to my grievances at the meeting. In thinking about how that might turn out, I was discouraged, and fortunately I didn't choose that approach. I also wondered if our meeting could turn so ugly that we ended up never speaking to each other again. Frankly, I was so distraught I just didn't know how I was going to have a positive resolution to that meeting. At some point prior to the meeting, I went into meditation and asked God to place the situation in God's perfect divine right action. And I suppose on some level I surrendered. I had to come to the realization that I didn't want to fight with this individual, and perhaps that it was by surrendering and remembering that A, I'm an inseparable part of God, and B, with God all things are possible, that C, I didn't want to fight with this individual, and therefore I might have to take a more humble approach. But by using these tools in my metaphysical toolbox, I could go to that meeting, discuss the problems I was having in a civil manner, and lo and behold, the meeting went well. And we were laughing together as we finished up our business. Never in my wildest dreams had I expected that outcome. Yet it was always available to me, just as Dorothy could always have gotten home using the ruby slippers, had she only known the secret. I chose the scriptures this morning for the idea that there is nothing secret that will not be known and made public. What's going on is that in everything we do that is done is being recorded in the Akashic record as it has throughout time. Little by little, we're getting access to that knowledge, just as our servers get knowledge into our behavior on the internet, so that the servers to the Akashic record are also making that knowledge more accessible. In our case, fellow metaphysicians, we do know the secrets, as I stated before. Remember that you are an inseparable part of God. And know that with God all things are possible. Realize that you are not alone in the universe. You depend on others for love, food, health, harmony. Harmony, by definition, requires more than one of anything, whether it's people, musical notes, or even color. And knowing that we are not alone allows us the humility to approach others in a spirit of love, fellowship, and cooperation. With this knowledge, we can go forward and have anything we want in life. I'm not sure whether it was Auntie Mame or Joan Crawford who said, "Life is a banquet and some poor fools are starving to death." Ooh, that was Joan Collins, wasn't it? Well, yeah, it wasn't Crawford, it was Collins. Life is a banquet and some poor fools are starving to death. In any case, we have a tremendous banquet in front of us. You always have a choice to sup from that banquet or starve to death. You don't have to starve to death. You simply have to make the choice to do the best you can in everything you do and enjoy the banquet that life has to offer. And if you find yourself starving, simply take a moment and remember that you are an inseparable part of God, and that with God all things are possible. Take those thoughts with you into meditation and spend some time in deep meditation. Ask God what He wants from you, and you will emerge from that meditation with a renewed lust for life and renewed joy for all that life has to offer. Thank you for your attention this morning. Join me now in the acceptance statement. Now, may the light illumine our mind with wisdom. May love fill our heart with understanding. May the one life shine forth from our innermost being, so that we walk renewed in light, life, love, today, tomorrow, and forever.